Hello and welcome to BMA 343 Digital and Social Media Marketing. For this week, week one, we'll be covering the digital marketing foundations. So we have a few things to get through today. We're going to start with a brief introduction to this week's content. Then we're going to describe how computers and servers communicate. Second of all, we're going to name the three objectives of a website. Number three, we're going to evaluate a website's performance. And last of all, we're actually going to look at how to make a website. So first of all, when we do digital and social media marketing, we use computers and the internet because that's part of what it is, right? So marketers then, they should really have a good working knowledge of how websites function, and that includes what it is that, like the technical aspects of a website, how they work and how they interact. This also includes a basic understanding of digital terminology and what makes a website successful. And this is kind of important because as marketing, we often lead the strategy in what websites should be doing, the purpose of websites and the evaluation of it. So if we're asking other people, like even if you're not coding websites yourself, you're getting other people to do it, if you know how they work, or basically how they work, and the terminology that goes with it, it's going to help you to be able to deliver better marketing. So first of all, we're going to start this with describing how computers and servers interact. So this can be shown in a diagram here. We've got like 7 different points here which happen when we go to a website. So the first step that happens, a user, so someone visiting the site, types in, just say Amazon.com into their web browser. Now the URL, which is the web address, Amazon.com, is converted into an IP address, which is called Internet Protocol, by the DNS, which is the domain name server. And this is point 2 here. So basically it changes that word, Amazon.com, into a set of numbers. And that set of numbers is the address of the website that you happen to be looking for, the digital address of it. Now the browser also sends copies. So at the same time, what you're doing, you type in the words in, but your browser, you might not realize that it's doing it, but it's actually sending information as well, which is, so the information request is received by the server in step 3, but the browser also sends cookies to customize the server request. And that might be, so in those cookies, we're going to look at that coming up, who you are, what you're doing, what your search history and stuff like that is. So with that information, the server reads and stores this data on a solid state drive, like SSD, which is effectively a hard drive, right? And then the Amazon, because it's a big company that specializes with a lot of tech, they use dynamic programming to customize the website for the server. And that's where the cookies come in. Because now the website, the server that's running the website knows who's making the request and what your preferences are. So they're going to, on their server, customize a web page for you. So it's going to have your name at the top there and automatically log you in and have up on the website a list of products which the computer has generated to think that you might be interested in. All right, and then what happens, point 7, the web browser processes the HTML, so hypertext markup language, the code sent by the server of Amazon.com to you and reads it. Now this all happens in a split second. So let's go through this in a little bit more detail. So first of all, a user types Amazon.com into the web browser. And we can see here this picture here. So I can bring that up. We've all used the internet. So if I go in here, I've already started this. So if I type in www.amazon.com, bang, all this happens in a couple of split seconds. And I haven't logged in recently, so it doesn't know it's me, but it's giving a customized web page based on the cookies that are stored on my web browser to think about what I'm interested in and stuff there. So Valentine's Day is coming up, so it thinks that's something I might be interested in. So web browser applications used to access websites such as Chrome, Safari, Edge, Firefox, and there's many of them. And a lot of people, like Google Chrome's probably the most popular one, and Safari is obviously popular with Mac users. Safari is pretty popular with a lot of techie people because it's got really high security and stuff like that. Now Amazon.com is the domain name for the business, and all the websites under this domain are controlled by the administrator for that domain. So for example, if I go to Amazon music, click on that link, because it starts with amazon.com/music, this actual, did it work? It's not loading yet. So this part here is managed by the same people as amazon.com, right? So this is, I'll close one of these tabs. So this is just basically still on Amazon. It's pretty obvious at this point because it's the same branding, right? It might get a little bit more complex as we go along, look at other different sites, but Amazon Music is managed by the same domain admins as Amazon. And the same if I go click on this website here, so if I type in Amazon and search for gaming chairs, that domain up here is still managed by that. So domain names are quite important. We'll spend a bit of time on that. So the URL, which is the web address, so amazon.com, is converted, so this is step 2, by an IP, an internet protocol, by the domain name server. So the domain name server associates domain names, which are words, with IP addresses, which are numbers. So basically the domain name server, you don't really know about it or interact, like what I just did, I just typed in amazon.com, you wouldn't know what's happening behind the scenes, but basically there's a domain name server which is a whole set of computer systems, a whole computer network that effectively runs the internet and converts what we're searching for in our web browsers into numbers, which are like addresses. So it's just saying, well, you type in amazon.com, where in the world, where in the whole web of computers does that go? Well, it converts into a number and sends it there. Now the DNS basically converts letters of domain into numbers for an IP address. Now I'm going to do a little quick exercise here. We'll do this in the workshop too, so don't worry if you can't follow along too quick. I'm just going to do my search bar. I'm running a Windows computer, of course. So I'm going to type in CMD, which opens my command prompt. And I'm going to drag this across to here so you can see that here. All right, so this is my command prompt. Sometimes it's called a shell. Now, I'm logged in, so this is C drive, users, and that's me. So I'm running, basically giving direct commands to my computer operating system, which is what, so when you click through Windows, it's basically a graphical user face. So when we click on icons, it's running code telling the computer what to do. So we're doing this directly now. So if I type in this command prompt and I go ping space, I've got to spell this right, amazon.com, I'm telling my computer to send 4 packets of information through the UTAS network, because I'm on the university campus at the moment, through the cable that runs under, the BAS cable, that data cable, through Melbourne, through all the way across to America, and to access their servers over there. All right, they're receiving it and sending it all the way back to Australia. Now all this happens in 237 milliseconds. So it's got, I've typed in amazon.com and the domain name server said, all right, the address for that one, amazon.com, is this here, 205.251.242.103. So that's the address of amazon.com. Now if you guys do this on your computers, you might get a slightly different IP address because Amazon has got many servers over different worlds. So basically the domain name server chooses which is the best one to go to. That's not with everyone. That's just because Amazon's a really big company and they can do that. Now on PCs, it only sends 4 packets of data. If you do it on a Mac, which we'll show you how to do in the workshop, it will keep sending information until you stop it. So just bear that in mind. All right, so we've pinged the server. We've got 237 milliseconds, and it's reporting the stuff. Now, if I do something different, so if I ping just say utas.edu.au. Oops, we've got to ping it first. So just ping utas.edu.au. You can do this. Sending 4 packets of data. This is saying what the IP address of UTAS is, and you can see this is 32 seconds. Now this is much faster than, well, it's 10 times faster to ping the UTAS servers when I'm in Tasmania than what it is to ping the Amazon servers in America, which kind of makes sense, right? But that lets us know what's happening behind the background. So we won't do this so much in digital marketing, but the reason why I'm showing you that is so you can understand that there's a thing called domain name server which directs traffic to our website. So I'm going to shut down this shell. All right, step 3, the information. So I'm going to go back a few slides here. So I'm working through these steps here. 1, 2, now up to step 3. So the information request then is received by the server, because remember my browser sent it out there. Amazon is a very large business, so it owns thousands of servers to respond to the large internet demand. And the more traffic you have coming to your websites, the more servers you need to be able to host that, the information that's being requested. So servers are basically computers. So it's like I've got a laptop here. So it's like a laptop. It's got a central processing unit. It's got a network card. It's got RAM. It's got all this stuff, all the basics of a computer, but it's a specialized computer for managing requests through the network. So these servers are actually stored in these racks. So these big cabinet looking things is basically a big cabinet of computers. And those computers will be running websites. So the information request is sent by our web browser in HTTP, which stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and that's basically a language that computers talk to each other. Now, this is used for structured requests and responses over the internet. So when you type in Amazon.com into your browser, it sends it through to the domain name server, converts it to an IP address, sends it to Amazon's servers, which look like these racks, and that comes, so your web browser is going to do this for you automatically in a language which is called Hypertext Transfer Protocol. All right, now the browser, so it sends a request saying we're trying to get to this website, please show us in our window, in our browser windows, please show us what Amazon.com website looks like, but it also sends these cookies. Now, HTTP cookies, Hypertext Transfer Protocol cookies, are little files on our computer that are put there by your web browsers. Now, the websites that you visit actually provide data to your web browser, and your web browser stores that data to customize the experience for each user. That means that when I go to Amazon.com, my experience is going to be different than yours, because the web cookies on my computer are going to be different than the ones on your computer, because my web cookies are about my preferences and my browsing history. So this is very useful for marketing. So a lot of people aren't really sure what web cookies are, and they know that they click data on, so they feel a little bit, careful about that. But from a marketing perspective, it's good because it allows us as marketers to customize the experience for our customers, right? So this is good for customer experience or CX based on previous customer behavior. And you'd know, if you've done consumer behavior, one of the best ways to predict customer behavior is to look at previous behavior. And that's indeed with all human behavior. The best way to predict future behavior is to analyze previous behavior. It's the best predictor. It's not always accurate, of course, because just because you've done something in the past doesn't mean you're always going to do that in the future, but it's better than guessing. Now, I'm going to do a quick exercise here. So I'm going to open up this thing here. So I'm going to scroll down here. So this is my own work computer at UTAS. So I've got files here. So I'm going on this PC. I'm going to go click on my C drive, which is the drive that my operating system is. Now I'm going to click on users. Now there's a few users on here. I'm going to click on KM Swartz, which is my UTAS username. Now I've got my files unhidden, so you might not be able to see that. If your files are hidden, you can do right click and do properties or and stuff like that to unhide your files. But my files are unhidden, so I'm going to click on app data. I've got to make sure I know where I'm going. I click on local, and then we got a few programs here. Going to click on Google, and we go Chrome. We go user data, and in here are all information that Google keeps, like Google Chrome, I should say, keeps information about me as a user and my web stuff. So if I go by default in here, now this won't really look like much sense to us, but these are the data for making cookies. You used to be able to open up cookies individually and edit them and stuff like that, but cookies got more evolved and you can't do that now. So if I so like it's got log on history and stuff like that. So don't muck around and delete that. The only reason why I show you that is so that you can comprehend what cookies are. They're basically files that your web browser saves on your hard drive, like your operating drive, like the hard disk drive or the solid state disk drive on your computer to make your experience using that web browser better. All right, so that was step 4. Let's go to step 5. Now the server reads and stores the data on SSDs. So SSDs are solid state drives. They like hard drives. So hard drives are old technology. They had a mechanical thing that spun around. SSDs are like USB sticks, just really big, and there's no moving parts. So technically they last longer and they are much, much faster. So it's newer technology, right? So SSDs store this data on the server regarding the previous customer behavior. So remember I said the cookies stored the data from our browser on the website? Well, the servers of Amazon.com are storing data about us as well. All right. Now, static websites, so there's 2 different types of websites. We're going to talk about static websites and dynamic. So static websites, they do not change. So they appear the same for every user. That means if I go to a static website and you go to a static website, we'll both see exactly the same thing because the website itself has been uploaded and does not change. They only change when a web developer, say us as a marketing person, we might go in there and edit our web page and then everyone will be updated for everyone. So these don't change. And if, to be honest, when you start digital marketing, or if you've got a small business, probably you'll be starting with static websites. It's pretty normal, right? For small businesses. Now, for big businesses that employ, digital marketing people or coders and stuff like that to write their own websites, they get a lot more complex. So we'll talk about that in a sec. So static websites, these files are written in HTML, so hypertext markup language, CSS and JavaScript. You've probably heard about JavaScript. If you've played Minecraft, you've heard Minecraft Java and Minecraft Bedrock, basically the same game programmed with different programming languages. And that's what they are. They're just different programming languages. So you've got English, you've got Indonesian, you've got Mandarin, you've got Cantonese, you've got different languages, and it's the same with computers. There's different programming languages. So all these ones are called client-side languages because they execute, they run programs, that they do things within our web browser. So if it's a static website and I say, go to kevsmarketing.com.au, bang, and I've got a static website there. That code is going to be written probably in HTML and then send it back. And if we've got time, I'm actually can teach you how to write a really basic website in HTML. It's really it sounds scary, but it's really simple and it's really fun. I'm just not sure if we're going to have enough time. It's going a little bit above what we need to do, but I think it's fun. So if you're interested, ask me and we'll see if we can sort it out, squeeze it into our workshop. Amazon, we talked about static, remember? But Amazon used dynamic programming websites to customize the website for each user. Now, dynamic websites, they can present different information to different users to make it a more interactive experience. These dynamic websites use server-side scripting. And this programming is written in scripting languages like PHP, Python, Ruby, server-side JavaScript. So it's the same as JavaScript client-side, but it's the server-side. And then in addition to the server-side languages. So your web browser is still sending server requests, but effectively what's happening is that Amazon servers, which are computers, remember, are basically making a website as it's being requested to customize the experience for that particular person. So these factors that determine content include your location. So if I go here, I'm just going to pull it up again. So if I go to Amazon, is there any location-based thing? Is there anything Australian? I can't see anything coming up. But if there was Australia Day coming up, they might be showing Australia Day, which is specific to Australia Day. People logging in America will probably see something a little bit different, all right? So I'm going to minimize that. All right. Also, where are we? So local time, what time of the day it is. Also the date. So we saw the Valentine's Day because Valentine's Day is coming up soon. So they're promoting that stuff. Settings. So the settings you got, like what language setting you got set in your operating system and stuff like that. And currency and blah, blah, blah. And then web traffic as well. So all these things are used to customize the website to the particular user. This allows marketing professionals then to manage the customer experience based on these segmentation variables. So you should all know about customer segmentation, because in Principles of Marketing we talk about segmentation, targeting and positioning, and in Services Marketing we talk about the segmenting markets and positioning service firms, all that sort of stuff. So segmentation should be very familiar to us as marketers, but the way that we can do it digitally is so much more, I want to say cooler, but so much more, many different ways that we can do it. All right, so there's so many more opportunities that are open to us. It really is cool. So step 7, then the user's web browser. So on our computers, processes the HTML codes, because remember the Amazon servers have just customized the website experience for us, so they've basically just created a website for us, and then they send it back to our web browser, and that displays it on our web page. So this is the final step of the process, and we can see it. So I'm just going to put up the thing there. So if you do this now while you're watching this lecture, type in Amazon.com, you'll probably see something different, because for one, it's different time, so they might have adjusted the server content, but at the same, updated their website, but at the same time, based on all those preferences, you'll be getting different code sent to your computer than what's into mine. All right, so now we've covered a few technical terms. In here, I don't expect you to use this straight away, but I want you to slide in here with these technical terms so that you can go back to it and if I'm saying DNS, you're like, I can't remember what that means, you can go back to this slide and see what it is. So URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, and that's basically what you type into your thing here. So the domain is Amazon.com for this one here, and the domain for here is also Amazon.com, but the URL is this whole lot, this web address. All right, so the URL is slightly different to domain name, because domain names, I've already explained what they are, but that's Amazon.com, and the URL, whatever stuff that comes after that. IP address, which is Internet Protocol Address. DNS, Domain Name Server, which is basically a computer system that happens in the background. You might not have ever known about it before, but it's been there your whole life, and it converts words of web addresses into numbers for our computer to find the web page in a whole network of computers that we're looking for. Server is basically a computer that's specially built to service the requests that come through the network. Cookies are little, and the reason why they're called cookies is because it's like when you walk along, you drop crumbs. So it's basically leaving crumbs, like a trail of crumbs of where you've been, and that's where the word cookie comes from, because it's leaving. Solid state drive, which is basically, I've got a solid state drive in this laptop. Your computers will probably have a solid state drive in there as well, or a hard drive. Server-side programming language, which is the programming language that is written on the servers here, and the client-side programming is the programming language that operates on our computers, the client, or if it's not us, it'd be our customers, right? Now HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. This is basically the English of the internet. It's how computers communicate. So it might be scripting, so when I say scripting, like the server might be writing a custom web page in its server-side language. So it might be speaking, Indonesian on the server, writes a website in its own, just say Indonesian language, which might be Python, but then when it sends it to mine, it converts it from the one computer language it was written in to the universal computer language that computers talk with. Right, web browser, we've talked about that, Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Safari. Now, transport layer security, TLS, is basically how we make sure that websites don't get hacked on the way. I haven't really talked about that as we go along yet, but effectively, if I ping a server or if I send stuff to the if I send an information request to a server, someone could be listening for that information and then jump on there and watch what I'm doing. So TLS basically helps us, it makes sure that the connection between the computers are private. Web hosting, we're going to deal with that coming up more, but that's basically the computers that are storing or hosting the website on there. So for the what's it called, for Amazon, the web hosting will be done by Amazon themselves on their own computers. If I build a website for a customer, I'll probably use a web hosting service, and something like well, there's plenty of them out there, but I'll be paying like an internet service provider to do web hosting for us. All right, so that was described how computers and servers communicate. I'm going to stop it here, and then we'll get on to the next one.